Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Abhineet Shukla and with me is Renuka, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. New Delhi accuses Islamabad of showing little sincerity in bringing perpetrators of 26/11 Mumbai terror attack to justice. Russia, India and China call for formation of inclusive government in Afghanistan. International commercial passenger flights to and from India to resume from the 50th of December. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas is the most powerful manifestation of the spirit of Indian Constitution. Russian President Vladimir Putin to attend 21st India-Russia Annual Summit in New Delhi on the 6th of December. In Indonesia Open Badminton, PV Sindhu cruises into semi-finals of women's singles. And in Kanpur Cricket Test, New Zealand trailed by 216 runs in their first innings against India at Stumps on day 2. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 23978046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. India has said that it will continue to make every effort to seek justice for the families of the victims and the martyrs of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. External Affairs Ministry said it is a matter of deep anguish that even after 13 years of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, the families of victims from 15 countries across the globe still await justice. The ministry said Pakistan is showing little sincerity in bringing the perpetrators to justice. It has once again called on the government of Pakistan to give up its double standards and to expeditiously bring the perpetrators of the horrific attack to justice. It said this is not just a matter of Pakistan's accountability to the families of the innocent victims who fell to terrorists, but also an international obligation as a terrorist attack was planned, executed and launched from Pakistani territory. Briefing media in New Delhi, MEA spokesman Arindam Bagchi said a senior diplomat from the High Commission of Pakistan in India was summoned by the Ministry of External Affairs on Friday.
जो 26 नवंबर के गुनहगार थे उनकी सजा दी जाए, इसलिए हमने आज एक सीनियर डिप्लोमेट को पाकिस्तानी दूतावास से बुलाया भी था और उनको एक नोट वर्बाल दिया गया है जिसमें दोहराया गया है कि हम चाहते हैं कि उनका जो ट्रायल हो वो शीघ्रता से हो मुंबई टेरर अटैक केस में, और पाकिस्तान की सरकार जो अपने कमिटमेंट है कि वो टेररिज्म ना करे। हमारी अपेक्षा तो यही है कि हमारे और ये पूरे विश्व का जो हमारा डिमांड है कि ये जस्टिस रहे उनके लिए, इस पे पाकिस्तानी सरकार ठोस कदम ले, हम ये अपेक्षा रखेंगे और इसीलिए हमने आज ये स्टेप लिया था।
India's President Ramnath Kovind paid tributes to the martyrs of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks on its 13th anniversary and also paid homage to the victims. In a tweet, Mr. Kovind said, the nation will always be grateful for the bravery and sacrifice of the security forces who laid down their lives in the line of duty. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, the nation should not forget the brave hearts who countered the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks and the ones who lost their lives.
भारत के संविधान में सूचित देश के सामान्य मानवी की रक्षा की जिम्मेवारी के तहत अनेक हमारे वीर जवानों ने उन आतंकवादियों से लोहा लेते लेते अपने आप को समर्पित कर दिया, सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिया। मैं आज 26/11 को उन सभी बलिदानियों को भी आदरपूर्वक नमन करता हूं।
Home Minister Amit Shah also paid tributes to those who lost their lives in the Mumbai terror attacks. In a tweet, Mr. Shah saluted all security personnel who bravely faced the terrorists.
India, Russia and China have called for ensuring that the territory of Afghanistan is not used to attack any country. The foreign ministers of the three countries at a virtual meeting held on Friday under the Russia-India-China RIC framework pitched for the formation of a truly inclusive government and pressed for immediate and unhindered humanitarian assistance to the war-torn country. The ministers also reaffirmed their support for the basic principle of an Afghan-led and Afghan-owned peace process. The joint communiqué said that the ministers stressed the necessity of urgent elimination of UN Security Council prescribed terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda, ISIS and others for lasting peace in Afghanistan and the region. The meeting was chaired by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and was attended by his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The ministers condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. They called on the international community to strengthen UN-led global counterterrorism cooperation by fully implementing the relevant UN Security Council UNSC resolutions and the Global Counterterrorism Strategy. In this context, they called for early adoption of the UN Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Foreign ministers of India, Russia and China also reaffirmed their support for a transparent, open, inclusive and non-discriminatory multilateral trading system with the World Trade Organization WTO at its core. The leaders reiterated their support for the necessary reform which would preserve the centrality, core values and fundamental principles of the WTO while taking into account the interests of all members. Here is a desk report.
The 18th meeting of the foreign ministers of India, Russia and China was held in the digital video conference format today. The meeting took place in the backdrop of negative impacts of the global COVID-19 pandemic, ongoing economic recovery as well as continuing threats of terrorism, extremism, drug trafficking, transnational organized crime, natural and man-made disasters, food security and climate change. The ministers exchanged views on further strengthening the Russia-India-China trilateral cooperation and also discussed various regional and international issues of importance, emphasizing the need for collective cooperation in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. The ministers noted the measures being taken by the World Health Organization, governments, non-profit organizations, academia, business and industry in combating the pandemic. In this context, the ministers called for strengthening the policy responses of WHO in the fight against COVID-19 and other global health challenges. They also called for making COVID vaccination a global public good. Expressing concern over deteriorating humanitarian situation in Afghanistan, the ministers called for immediate and unhindered humanitarian assistance to be provided to Afghanistan. The ministers also emphasized on the central role of United Nations in Afghanistan. The ministers reiterated that a multipolar and rebalanced world based on sovereign equality of nations and respect for international law and reflecting contemporary realities requires strengthening and reforming of the multilateral system. Foreign ministers of China and Russia reiterated the importance they attach to the status of India in international affairs and supported its aspiration to play a greater role in the United Nations. Foreign ministers of Russia and China congratulated India for its successful presidency of the UNSC in August 2021. Swati Rakheja, World News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin will arrive in New Delhi in an official visit on 6th of December for the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Briefing media in New Delhi, MEA spokesman Arindam Bagchi said the leaders will review the state and prospects of bilateral relations and discuss ways to further strengthen the strategic partnership between the two countries.
The leaders will review the state and prospects of bilateral relations and discuss ways to further strengthen the strategic partnership between our two countries. The summit will afford an opportunity to exchange views on regional, multilateral and international issues of mutual interest. The visit is in continuation of the tradition of annual summits alternately in India and Russia, and we are confident that the visit will further provide an impetus to the India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership.
For details, we have a desk report.
The last India-Russia Annual Summit was held in September 2019 during visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Vladivostok in Russia. MEA spokesman Arindam Bagchi said the annual summit could not take place in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The spokesman said this would be the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders after the meeting at the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Brasilia in November 2019. He said since there have been 6 telephonic conversations between the two leaders, apart from the virtual meetings during the multilateral summits, Mr. Bagchi informed that the first India-Russia 2+2 dialogue will be held in New Delhi on the 6th of next month. He said Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will represent the Indian side in the dialogue, and the Russian side will be represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu. The spokesman said the 2+2 dialogue has been held pursuant to the agreement reached between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin during the telephonic conversation on 20th of April this year. The agenda for the dialogue will cover political and defence issues of mutual interest. Mr. Bagchi said the establishment of the new mechanism of 2+2 dialogue is expected to further strengthen strategic partnership between the two countries. Abhishek Mukhopadhyay for World News.
India has decided to resume scheduled commercial international passenger services from the 15th of December. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the scheduled international commercial passenger services were suspended by India on 23rd of March last year. Directorate General of Civil Aviation in a circular said that the matter has been reviewed and the competent authority has decided to resume the scheduled commercial international passenger services to and from India with effect from the 15th of next month. It said the services will remain suspended till 23:59 hours of the 14th of December. It further said that the resumption of scheduled international passenger services would imply revision to bilaterally agreed capacity entitlements and termination of air bubble arrangements. The countries from where travellers would need to follow additional measures on arrival in India, including post-arrival testing, includes UK, South Africa, Brazil, Bangladesh, Botswana, China, Mauritius, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, Singapore, Hong Kong and Israel. The decision has been taken at a time when a new variant of coronavirus has been found in countries like Botswana, Hong Kong and South Africa. The World Health Organization is monitoring the new variant of corona with numerous mutations called B11529, which has been detected in South Africa in small numbers. A World Health Organization or WHO expert group will meet on Friday to discuss what it may mean for vaccines and treatments. The UK announced that it is banning flights from 6 African countries, including South Africa, starting Friday.
India played a key role in the formation of the Bangladesh Air Force during the 1971 Liberation War. Captain Qazi Abdus Sattar, known as Alamgir Sattar, is a Bangladesh Liberation War fighter. He took part in many operations as a pilot. In an interview with Prasar Bharati special correspondent Rajesh Jha in Dhaka, he tells the story of the way Bangladesh Air Force was set up with Indian support and how they took part in the Liberation War operations in 1971. He started as a civilian pilot with Pakistan International Airlines. Later, Captain Sattar crossed over to Agartala to train with the Indian Armed Forces against Pakistan. He was involved in the legendary Kilo Fight operations against the Pakistani forces. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you the interview of Captain Qazi Abdus Sattar.
Captain Sattar, you were part of the team which was involved in the establishment of the Bangladesh Air Force during the 1971 Liberation War against Pakistan. Please tell me how the Bangladesh Air Force was set up with the help of India in 1971.
Captain Shahabuddin, me, Captain Khalid, we went to Captain Akram Muhammad we went to India in the month of May. I went to Agartala. Group Captain A.K. Khandakar requested Air Chief Marshal P.C. Lal that we should have a small air force. And P.C. Lal agreed and he recommended this thing to Indian Central Government. Only after a few days, Indian Army Major came and told us we had to go somewhere. Ultimately, Captain Khaled, Shahabuddin and me, we reached Delhi. And we were there about 1.5 months. There was a committee, Air Commodore Tewari, plus another Air Commodore, I forgot the name. They and B.N. Kapoor was joint secretary. They used to come and we talked a lot of things. First it is how dependable we are, how much committed we are to this freedom struggle. After a few days, we could convince them that yes, we are totally committed. They have sent their report to central government and it was approved.
During the Liberation War of 1971, Kilo Flight was a legendary operation against Pakistan's bases in the then East Pakistan. Could you please tell us about the kilo flight operation conducted by the Bangladeshi pilot with aircraft given by India?
Which we call kilo flight. The first name of Ekekhondo. Kilo flight's achievement. Even today, if you read the history, the Jana Control is here about kilo flight. Kilo flight really did wonderful jobs. Few days we stayed in a hotel in Calcutta. After that, we went to stay in Barakpur base, Indian Air Force base. We were issued a card. That time it was Captain Khalid, me, Shahab, Captain Khalid, because he was much older than us. He was squadron leader Arun Kumar Chaudhary, Flight Lieutenant S.N. Bishwas, Captain Shahabuddin became Flight Lieutenant Mondal. In the month of September, I think 11th September, again we went to Dimapur. Then our training started. That was given by Maharaja of Jodhpur. And we took severe training. Very low fly in the Jaintia Hill Valley. A hill area. We used to fly very low and it was risky. It was all night flight. Bangladesh Air Force was organized on 28th October. Ekekhondo he gave his speech, and then Air Chief Marshal P.C. Lal was present. Air Marshal Dhawan, Group Captain Chandran Singh, they were also there. And after some time, they went back. We carried about 7-8 flights, 2 of them with ammunition, a small ammunition, the Mukti Bahini people, and about 5 flights or 6 flights with Colonel Usman.
Thank you, Captain Sattar, for talking to All India Radio in Dhaka.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that every section of our democratic country is getting equal rights. His government is dedicated to the Constitution and does not discriminate in development. Addressing Constitution Day event organized by Supreme Court in New Delhi, Mr. Modi said, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. This is the most powerful manifestation of the spirit of the Constitution.
सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास, ये संविधान की भावना का सबसे सशक्त प्रकटीकरण है। संविधान के लिए समर्पित सरकार विकास में भेद नहीं करती और ये हमने करके दिखाया है। आज गरीब से गरीब को भी क्वालिटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तक वही एक्सेस मिल रहा है जो कभी साधन संपन्न लोगों तक सीमित था।
India's Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought out many inadequacies in the current global system, particularly in the health system and supply chains. He has called for a multilateral and collaborative approach to address these gaps. Mr. Naidu addressed the retreat session of the 2-day SM Summit themed on strengthening multilateralism for shared growth. Speaking during the retreat session, the Vice President said India has contributed significantly in making the world safer by controlling the transmission of infection in 1/6 of the world's population. He said India is also in the process of restarting the global export of vaccines to other countries. Stressing the importance of maritime security, Mr. Naidu said, oceans are the pathways to prosperity and it is important that their access remain free from traditional and non-traditional threats. Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh has said that BRICS countries must come together and innovate cost-effective, affordable, accessible, sustainable and scalable scientific solutions as they face many similar and unique challenges. He called for working towards rightful place for BRICS, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa in the Global Innovation Index. He stressed that it can be achieved through further strengthening the cooperation in the field of science, technology and innovation. Dr. Singh today chaired the 9th BRICS Science and Technology Ministers Meet. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Singh reiterated that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has strong commitment towards strengthening of cooperation within BRICS countries as this cooperation directly impacts the welfare and progress of people. He informed that India under Vaccine Maitri initiative is providing COVID-19 vaccines to countries around the world. He said India had delivered around 70.70 million doses of vaccines to 95 countries. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter @AIR News Alerts.
With only 2 days remaining for the closing ceremony of the 52nd International Film Festival of India, IFFI, in Goa, film screenings, masterclasses, discussions, and red carpet welcome of artists continued on the 7th day of the festival. A report.
The international competition for the coveted Golden Peacock is heating up. Czech filmmaker and director of the film Saving One Who Was Dead, Václav Kadrinka, was speaking at a press conference held on the sidelines of the 52nd IFFI today. He said that the film is of light and hope. The film is in contention for the Golden Peacock. Hami Ramezan's Any Day Now had its Indian premiere at IFFI today. The movie tells the story of a 13-year-old boy, Ramin Medipur, and his Iranian family who have been living in a refugee center in Finland. This film is also in contention for the Golden Peacock. Several films are also vying for the prestigious ICFT UNESCO Gandhi Award given to an IFFI film that best reflects Mahatma Gandhi's ideals of peace, tolerance and non-violence. Renowned maverick director Jairaj is competing for the prize for his movie Tree Full of Parrots. Speaking at a press conference, Jairaj said that OTT platforms and theatres can coexist for the growth of cinema. To add joy to the local film lovers, Konkani films Gagan, Kupacho Daryo, Paul 10 and Marathi film Limits were screened and received a very good response. Screenplay director Sab John in his masterclass said that films that carry a message have an impetus to carry a potent storyline. He added that the content of the film must be dense and deep so as to cast an imprint on the minds of the viewers for long. With input from Mukesh Thali, Pawan, IFFI Desk, Goa.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on Sunday. It will be the 83rd episode of the monthly radio program. The Prime Minister has invited people to share their ideas for this month's episode. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he wants to hear from people on possible themes and topics for this month's Mann Ki Baat. He urged people to share insights on MyGov, the NAMO app, or record their message. Indo-German Science and Technology Center, IGSTC, has launched a first-of-its-kind program called Women's Involvement in Science and Engineering Research. The program aims at promoting women in the field of research and development through lateral entry and encouraging their involvement at various joint research projects. This program will support women scientists holding regular and long-term research positions in academia or research institutes and industry.
In badminton, Indian shuttlers had a good day at the Indonesia Open Super 1000 tournament in Bali on Friday. The reigning world champion PV Sindhu raced into semi-finals of the women's singles event, beating South Korea's Sim Yoo-jin 14-21, 21-19, 21-14. In the men's doubles event, Indian pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty also moved into semi-finals, beating Malaysian duo Goh Se Fei and Noor Izzuddin. However, India's Sai Praneeth lost his men's singles quarter-final tie against the Olympic champion Victor Axelsen of Denmark. In Kanpur Cricket Test, New Zealand were 129 for no loss against India in their first innings on the second day at Green Park Stadium. Will Young with 75 and Tom Latham with 50 runs were at the crease when the stumps were drawn. The visitors now trail by 216 runs. In their first innings, India posted 345 runs. Debutant Shreyas Iyer was the top scorer for the hosts with 105 runs, supported well by Ravindra Jadeja, who scored 50. Hockey India has named 20-member men's squad for the Asian Champions Trophy to be held in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Tokyo Olympic bronze medalist India will begin their campaign on the 14th of next month against Korea, followed by their match against host Bangladesh on the 15th. Their third match will be against arch-rivals Pakistan on 17th of December, and the very next day, India will take on Malaysia, followed by their match against Japan on the 19th of December.
In table tennis, India's mixed doubles pairs Satyan Gnanasekaran Manika Batra and Sharat Kamal Archana Kamath advanced to the round of 16 at the World Table Tennis Championships final at Houston on Friday. Kamal and Archana outclassed Egyptian duo of Dina Meshref and Omar Asar 9-11, 2-11, 11-5, 11-9, 11-4 to set up a round of 16 clash against France's Jia Nan Yuan and Emmanuel Lebesson. Meanwhile, Tokyo Olympian Manika Batra and Archana Kamath also secured a comfortable victory in the women's doubles. They beat Belgium's Margot Degref and Nathalie Marchetti 11-4, 11-7, 11-6 in the round of 32. However, G. Satyan lost 9-11, 7-11, 11-7, 15-13, 3-11, 11-4, 9-11, 7-11 to the 2018 Commonwealth Games silver medalist Qadri Aruna of Nigeria in the men's singles. With Satyan's loss, India's singles campaign at the tournament came to an end. Satyan Gnanasekaran and Sharat Kamal also exited the men's doubles after a 9-11, 11-9, 11-13, 7-11 loss to the Swedish pair of Truls Moregard and Anton Karlbach in the second round. The Indian duo got a bye in the first round. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal writes, new coronavirus variant arrives in Europe, sets off global fears of restrictions. The Globe and Mail says, alarmed by COVID variant detected in South Africa, Europe and Asia tightens borders, ban flights. South China Morning Post reports, coronavirus, Hong Kong toughens border controls over heavily mutated new variant covering 8 African countries. Tashkent Times says, WHO calls special meeting to discuss new COVID variant found in South Africa with 32 mutations. Sputnik News writes, Solomon Islands PM Sogavare blames foreign power for fueling unrest as Chinese want evacuation. Financial Times writes, Japan approves extra defense spending amid concerns over China's rising power. Khalij Times reports, Dubai Run 2021, 146,000 people joined Sheikh Hamdan in world's largest run on Sheikh Zayed Road.
Indian Minister of State for Ayush, Munjapara Mahendra Bhai, on Friday virtually inaugurated the Ayurved Parv 2021 in New Delhi. The 3-day event has been organized to promote Ayurveda. An exhibition has been arranged with 40 stalls and participation of pharmaceutical companies. Ayurveda Parv has been organized for proper utilization of Ayurvedic healthcare and also for coordination and better utilization of Ayurvedic research, education and manufacturing of medicines. And now a quick review of the headlines once again. New Delhi accuses Islamabad of showing little sincerity in bringing perpetrators of 26/11 Mumbai terror attack to justice. Russia, India and China call for formation of inclusive government in Afghanistan. International commercial passenger flights to and from India to resume from the 15th of December. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas is the most powerful manifestation of the spirit of Indian Constitution. Russian President Vladimir Putin to attend 21st India-Russia Annual Summit in New Delhi on the 6th of December. In Indonesia Open Badminton, PV Sindhu cruises into semi-finals of women's singles. And in Kanpur Cricket Test, New Zealand trailed by 216 runs in their first innings against India at stumps on day 2. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Seychelles. And with that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.